The long-awaited, triumphant return of Raiders Gonna Rate. We've got a bit of a different format for you with this show. We're not going to go through every player that got a kick of the ball during the match on Saturday, but you'll see what we do. Hopefully you enjoy it. Hopefully you're along for the ride. It's Ryan and I doing this tonight. Let's get into it. How's it? Welcome into a new version of Raiders Gonna Rate. You guys know who I am. I think you know who he is. Yeah, what's going on, man? We kind of had a brainchild last night with this one and decided very last minute that we would put this show on the air. So let's see how it goes.
Yeah, I'm excited. I think I said it on the show yesterday. I feel like I took a lot of notes. I had a lot of information, and I kind of had which I do in real life. I have diarrhea of the mouth a lot, where I have all this information, I just spew it all out at once, and it doesn't really make a lot of sense. And on top of that, I have to antagonize the stoner that just came back from London. He might have thought he was still in London. I'm not even sure. So yeah, it was interesting. So I'm definitely excited to kind of get more into the game, break it down, and talk about some interesting things I saw in the game, player individually wise, anyways.
Yeah, that's kind of what got the ball rolling on this, kind of having that brief conversation yesterday after the show. Having things you want to get into, and look, I'm all for, as long as the time permits, trying to crank out a little bit more content on this channel as we've been talking about for years. It's just, this is the kind of thing that unfortunately, life is what happens when you have other plans. The road to hell is paved with the best of intentions, or what have you. So Bronx Gunner, always with us, man. I really do appreciate that. Kudos to you, my friend, for always being along. And thank you for sharing. Appreciate it. Hopefully we get some new viewers in here tonight. Maybe a couple of new subscriptions too. That would be awesome. So yeah, we're going to dive right into. We're not going to talk about every player. I don't think. I'm sure every player in one way, shape, or form will get mentioned here tonight. We're going to try to keep it right around an hour. And the first thing we're going to start with, well, I guess we'll go 3 up, 3 down, which is kind of a Ryan thing. This was his idea. I like it. So basically we'll kind of give you 3, I guess we'll go with the hockey term. We'll go with the 3 stars of the game in our opinion, but we'll give you 3 players also that maybe sometimes where it's going to be 3 players that didn't have good games. It's 3 players that if we were to put a number on them, probably at least, below a 5. But in this situation, I don't really think that anybody had a bad game. So maybe just 3 players who could have done a little more, could have shown a little more. Just when I say that the worst 3 players of the match for us, that's not always worst, doesn't always mean bad. Worst can just be they weren't up to speed with the rest of the players if on the pitch, if that makes sense. So do you want to go 3 up and then 3 down? Do you want to go 3 down, 3 up? Do you want to alternate?
Whatever you want.
1 up.
You're the host. You're the man of the hour. It's up to you.
Whoa. That's a lot of goddamn pressure to put on me. Easy.
It is, yeah.
I don't know. You want to go back and forth, or should we?
Sure. Whatever you want. I'm ready to do whatever.
I'm going to give
you the GIMP, or I was going to say the other word.
The guinea pig?
Submissive.
Wow.
It's funny. I was going to say submissive, and I couldn't think of the word, so I said GIMP. I thought of
same
GIMP
thing.
Submissive, but
kind of
no, it is. It is the same thing, but I love that my mind went to GIMP before it went to submissive. But yeah,
I just really all I want right now is for Megan to come in, just walk up right behind you, very sneakily, so that you don't see her, and just start doing this on top of your head.
I would be nervous because she is traveling for work. She's in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. So
Baton Rouge.
If she was, if that is that where LSU is? She's the LSU campus for college,
nice.
women's college basketball. So that's pretty cool.
Nice.
But yeah, so if she sneaks up that would I'd be very scared.
I can imagine. Thank you, by the way, 3-point sniper. Appreciate that. Let's get the chat popping. So, and obviously for everybody in the chat, if you've got an opinion one way or the other, drop it in there. I'll put it up on the screen. We'll have a little friendly banter back and forth. If we agree, we disagree, what have you. Let's go with, I'll tell you what, we'll kind of snake it like a fantasy football draft. Start with one of your 3 up. And then I'll go first with the down, but then I'll come back with one for the up, and you see how.
Do you want me to go in order, or we're just gonna go up, down, up, down? It just doesn't matter.
Let's alternate them. Let's see how it goes.
So no, you don't want But I'm saying you don't want my ups in any order. Like you don't want my number 1 first.
No, I mean I'm not I wasn't necessarily thinking that we would do that. There would be a pecking order to it. I was kind of just like,
no, that's fair.
like putting them all together, not in any particular order, just 3 best players, 3 not best players. I hate to use the word worst.
I guess what I will do is I will definitely for this game I'll save my man of the match for last. But other than that, I agree. So you want me to go up first?
Yeah, go with one of your ups first.
So up, I had that probably not a lot of people had, but because I gave him my mid-season, I think I gave him the most disappointing award, and I've actually talked with some of the other Arse Bros about him. As Gabriel Jesus, I gave him as one of my ups. If you had to give me one word to describe him in this game, it's connection. And I will probably use that same word to describe another player. Funny enough, I kind of have in my downs. But listen, we won 5-0, so like our downs are not going to be players that necessarily played poorly, but we do what we got to do. But yeah, so Gabriel Jesus, I thought connected beautifully. He switched a lot with Trossard, who doesn't start very much for us. A thing that I'm going to be harping on a lot is just our plan B, and we played our plan B from minute 1, and we really attacked on the left-hand side a lot, whether it be from Trossard or from Martinelli, who came on later in the game. I thought Jesus was instrumental in his creativity and just the way he flowed and moved with the ball throughout the game, because usually he's fighting to win the ball for us, but since how we really kind of took our foot off the gas a little bit as far as our press. We kind of pressed a little bit towards the middle of the pitch instead of in their third. So I thought Jesus was able to operate with the ball instead of fighting to win the ball for us.
Yeah, that's a great point to make, because he's usually fighting for it. As you said, I'm going to start with one of my downs. And again, just to reiterate, I'm not saying that any of these players had a poor game. It's just trying to say, hey, maybe there was a little something more you could have given. My first is
what we should do is good cop, bad cop. I can be good cop, you can be bad cop. But no, I'm kidding. Go.
I don't hate that idea. You know what? We'll throw that in the hopper for next time. We'll see.
We could title the show "Good Cop, Bad Cop."
Yeah.
I already told my wife Megan already knows that I'm going to be the good cop for our kid. I'm going to be the chillest, coolest dad, relaxed, not give a fuck. I mean, that's how I am now. I'm very, very calm and relaxed when I'm not, playing any kind of sport. But yeah, I'm definitely a good cop. So yeah,
I could definitely in this relationship.
And as far as at least for Glenn's sake, you're definitely bad cop, because Glenn thinks you are just the most negative person to ever walk the face of the earth, which I think is still so funny that he says that every time. But
I have this black cloud hanging over my head.
Yeah.
I mean, if anybody's got a cloud hanging over his head, it's the stoner. Anywho, 3 down. So the first one, everybody, I'm sure I'll catch some flack for this. Maybe we'll see. I don't know. I'm going to throw Bukayo Saka out there, and again, I don't think he had a poor game. I think there's I don't know if it's just that the teams are now just really keying on him. I don't know if it's maybe part of what we're trying to do with Martin Odegaard tracking back further to accept the ball deeper and build up, help build up play, a la Thomas Partey? Is it Ben White, maybe carrying an injury, not quite being up to par with the overlapping runs that he makes and trying to, create some space for Saka to maneuver in? It's, again, not that he had a bad game, but I probably am used to seeing more from him. I think that's probably the best way to word this so that people don't think we're browbeating players, for being quote unquote poor. It's that we've seen more. We know that they're capable of more. Maybe we just didn't get quite enough from them. But Bukayo Saka would be my first. I just, he just seems to be going up against at least 2 or 3 guys every time he gets the ball, within 20 yards of the goal line. It just doesn't seem to be able to get anywhere because teams, you get a left back, a midfielder, or excuse me, you get a fullback, a midfielder, and a center back for all intents and purposes, or even a winger tracking back to really just shut down all of his options, So again, not that he had a poor game. I just used to seeing more from him. Didn't quite get it in this one. I would say Bukayo Saka would be my first down here. And if you're okay with it, I'll give my first up of the night.
I was just going to quickly talk about Saka just for 2 seconds
and
just say I was surprised. So I wrote my 3 ups, I wrote my 3 downs here, and I wrote I wrote a bunch of honorable mentions, just like players I wanted to kind of talk about and key into. And Saka's probably the only player that I didn't write down. Funny enough, but
for
honestly,
anything, you didn't write him down for anything at all.
I honestly, I would lean, if I had to put him somewhere, I would lean almost up. Only because I think he's been so poor the games before that. And I think this game, again, I'm sorry, I'm going to say this ad nauseum. We played so differently with our plan B.
Yeah.
And he wasn't up the pitch as much. He wasn't pressed up the pitch. He kind of received the ball more towards the middle of the pitch. And he was getting those one-on-ones. He wasn't getting the ball in the corner, near the corner flag, and he was already having to fight 2 guys, So I think his positioning in this game, not necessarily was his. I mean, I guess it was his doing, but I think it was more of the system that we played. I thought he had a better game than the last few, but see, I'm gonna contradict myself already. But he also wasn't really that effective, again, because we were kind of focusing more attacking on the left hand side. So yeah, I'm back to where I started. I'm kind of not glad, but it makes sense why I didn't really write him, because it's not like I don't think he played bad. I don't think he played good. It was just a different kind of game from Saka that we've been seeing, and I'm interested to see how it develops. That's for sure.
Well, I mean, for me, I think just the fact that you didn't write him down for anything, I wouldn't say that maybe makes my point for me. Putting him as one of my downs, but he's not a player that we want to sit here and say, if we're not talking about him, that's a good thing. He's
a player that's constantly going to be talked about, because if he's not playing really well, he's terrible, he's not playing well, he's outright not played well the last couple games. So he's still being talked about, just not necessarily in a positive way. But it's. I mean, with him being, our star boy and our number one to most Arsenal supporters, you're always gonna feel like always have something to say about his game.
Yeah. So my first up, I think it's going to be the ups for me. I think are going to be pretty obvious. I didn't want to do this necessarily, and as we get the 3 ups, you'll kind of understand why. And there's one player that is omitted from my up that I'm sure people are going to question, probably namely you. But first one is to me, my player of the match was Gabriel. So I'll just kind of throw both out there, and we can circle back to the player of the match thing. But hard to argue with a guy that I'm sorry scores 2 goals. Like, I know he wasn't credited with the one that goes in off the back of Henderson's head. The ball's going in the net. Like, even if it doesn't hit Henderson's head, that ball's going in the net. But look, he is, again, as I've said before but between he and Saliba, I would not label either of them the best defender in the world, the best center back in the world. But I think together they're the kind where the whole is greater than the sum of the parts with those two. They play together. They're the best defensive duo in the world. Split them up, and I think they each lose a little something. And so you get Gabriel, who obviously always going to give you a rock solid defensive performance at the back. When he can add 2 goals from set pieces, that's icing on the cake to me. The plays that we ran were perfect, and he executed the headers brilliantly, in my opinion. So my first up is Gabriel.
Yeah, I mean, he was one of my 2 remaining up. So I mean, you said everything you need to say. He was great running. His IQ on corners has always been pretty good for us since we signed him.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, defensively, I kind of, everyone always says that. I feel like, individually they may not be so good, but together, like the best center back. I think Gabriel and Saliba are tremendous individually. I just think they offer different things. Saliba's more of a guy that wants the ball, has the ball, can kind of maneuver through the field with the ball at his feet, where Gabriel is just our brick wall that is just going to out physical you, take the ball from you, and do what he has to do to defensively secure our back line. But yeah, no, he was great, and it was a shame that he didn't get credit for that second goal.
Yeah, you want to hit me with your first down?
Yes. So okay. So my first down, I kind of alluded to him already. Is Trossard, and my only real down I will say about him is he missed the easiest opportunity that we had all match. What was it? Was it the 50th? I don't even remember when it was. He had like a wide open net. Passes. I think the pass was a little behind him, but I mean, yeah, you gotta kind of put those in, and part of me thinks that maybe we were navigating with our plan B because he was starting. He's a player that I don't think stretches the field. He's not a Martinelli player. He may play in the same position as Martinelli, but he doesn't stretch the field. He doesn't have speed. He's really good navigating those middle channels. And again, kind of to go back to Gabriel just a little bit and just talk about, their switching was really good. I love that they could switch because, like I said, Trossard is a guy that likes to navigate in the middle. I think he's best in the middle of the pitch. So it was good to see him link up with Jesus. But I don't know, like part of me is like, well, did we kind of force our hand on that right side because we didn't want, Trossard to kind of stretch the field? I don't know. But I mean, he played well. He got a goal for us. And again, going back to what we said, I don't really think it's a down. I'm picking that stuff right now. It's tough. But
doing what Glenn hates, nitpicking about.
Yeah. But scoring 5 goals, and yet he probably misses our best chance on net. I guess at that point, I kind of got to give him a down.
All right, give me your next up. So this will be 2 ups for you.
Well, this is my last up. For my last up.
Wait,
we kind of do this out of order. Well, because my second up was Gabrielle, and you said it, so I'm not going to rehash.
And
wax on to that. So I have 1 up. I have 1 up and 2 downs up. So actually, I'll go with my second down, and I'm going to say Odegaard. He didn't play bad, but I have my notes. Like we said, I wrote down so many notes. I had so many thoughts on the game. Odegaard's not in one bullet. I had no, I don't know. He just didn't do anything. But now we won 5-0. Did we didn't need him to do anything, did we? No. That's why I didn't think he played bad, but it was just, there's no ups, there's, I don't know. I would put him in the neutral if we had a neutral one. I'd put him in neutral because I had nothing to say about him. I had no notes on him. My only down would be in a player we may talk about later, but it could be we have players nipping at the heels to get into this 11, and he is our captain, but his position is a position that we're kind of looking at. When you look at our bench, a lot of the guys on our bench are looking to play his position. So do we move him into another position? With Thomas Partey coming back, do we maybe change things up a bit? I don't know. But he is our captain, so I'm kind of poo-pooing that for now. But I'm just gonna be boring and just say Odegaard.
Yeah, well, and I have him for one of mine, and I'll just piggyback off that. To me, it was, again, it was a game of the guys who aren't being talked about. And again, it's not that they had poor games. I don't know that you can expect all 10 outfield players to drop 8s and 9s in every game. I think, you're going to have some guys that probably put in a 5 or a 6, 1 or 2.
I also don't think it's possible. Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm definitely going to eat my words, and probably someone will prove me wrong here. I almost don't think it's possible for a team to play so good where literally all 11 players get 8 or 9s.
That's what I mean. Right.
I just don't think it's you.
Not everybody.
We won 5-0.
Not everybody's gonna be on their A game. On the day.
Again, and someone like Odegaard, I don't even think. Like I don't think
he didn't play. He wasn't.
I didn't even notice him. Like,
but that's what it is.
Bad,
yeah.
But like to say he wasn't on his A game. Yeah, but like it's not like he like I don't know. Like I don't know.
It's just again. It goes back to if you're certain players, you need to see them. You want to talk about them. Other players, you don't. I mean, in this game, this sport, you want to talk about the attack. Those are the players you want to be talking about, because they're the players who should be, scoring goals. You don't want to talk about your defensive players, your goalkeeper, hopefully, because unless you're just getting bombarded, we're a team that want to dominate possession. So we really don't want to talk about defenders and goalkeepers too much in doing shows like this, because if we're talking about them, on the one hand, like Gabriel, they're scoring goals. But if they're not scoring goals and it's just a defensive effort, I don't really want to mention them, because that's just, to me, it's doing their job. Unless, like I say, we're getting peppered with shots and they're, making clearances and winning duels and winning the ball, things like that. I don't really want to talk about defensive players if that's what they're bringing, because to me, it means they did their job. Martin Odegaard is a player who, his primary responsibility is attack, distribution, playmaker. And I just really didn't see anything from him at all. Again, I didn't see anything bad. I just didn't see anything good either. So we agree on one of the down players. We disagree. So I'll bring it back to my second up. I actually have Trossard as my second up, and not necessarily because he scored the goal. I agree. The chance that he misses is one of the best opportunity. I'm not sure it was the best clear-cut chance that we had. But he does get the goal. But he looked comfortable. He looked very comfortable, interchanging with Jesus, left, middle. I'm coming around to your way of thinking that he does look more comfortable, I think, and plays better centrally than he does out wide. He has his moments of brilliance out wide. Last year at Fulham, not, first thing that comes to mind, with 3 assists in like 7 minutes or something. But I liked Trossard's game. I thought he was bright. I thought he was creative. Obviously gets the goal. Looked comfortable. He looked, from what I'd seen of Trossard in recent past games, this to me was a bit more of the Trossard that we got at the beginning of his tenure with us a year ago. Guy that's coming in all of a sudden like, whoa, I can't believe we were going to go spend 100 million pounds on an unknown, and here's this playmaker right under our noses for less than 30 million. I really think that this is a game that he could take and kick on from. So I have Trossard as my second up.
It's crazy because I agree with everything you said. Like again, we won 5-0, so I agree with everything you said. I think it's more for me too. I'm like everything Cesar did, which he did do. I'm not saying he didn't do those things. I'm kind of almost like giving it more to Gabriel Jesus,
Yeah,
just
okay.
because
I mean,
like they interchanged, they both created, and I'm kind of being like, well, yeah, Gabriel Jesus. I gave him, I wasn't the highest on him on our midseason podcast, so I
yeah.
kind of wanted to give him flowers for this game. But yeah, no, I think Trossard's great, and and I also again I'm reading tea leaves. I'm getting too far into because I could be definitely wrong, but did we maybe play to just not the team strength, but to Trossard's strengths? I
To
don't think so. I
individual
think at the end
strength.
of the day, I think we just gave him a plan B. We realized what we excelled in, and we just did it. But
Well, the biggest thing for me in all of this is we talk about play style and what do we want to do? How do we want to do things? And we seem to, and I say this all the time, so it's a broken record that I understand the possession based game. I get what the goal is or what the plan is, I guess. But a lot of times I see that our buildup, and I think you said something, we're like the third slowest in terms of building up the attack in the Premier League, and
yeah,
it doesn't work. And I this isn't just Trossard. I think a lot of players, I dare say 95 to 98% of players would tell you, screw that. 100% of players are going to tell you that they want to be able to operate in space. And Trossard doing what he did, I thought he worked very well in space, not just with the ball but off it as well. Um, I he's again, as I said, I'm coming around to your way of thinking on him operating better centrally, and he's also got that playmaker ability in him. He has that vision, so the goal is great. I also can appreciate his passing, um, his ability to drag defenders into an area, whether he has the ball or not,
yeah.
find an open player to create an opportunity. So for me, it's operating in space, and I hope that Arteta saw what we do when we move quickly with the ball, and not just a counterattack. We can win the ball and build out from the back. We just need to do it quicker. The ball needs to go forward. The ball, not, I hesitate to say the ball should always be going forward. I understand that's not always going to be possible, but I think you understand what I'm trying to say here.
Yeah.
Just be constantly moving forward. If we're going side to side, we're becoming stagnant to the point of going backward. And I don't want to see that. I want to see the ball constantly moving forward. And too often what I'm seeing is players just kind of lollygagging up the field, really, not getting into an attacking advanced position to be of use, if that makes sense. So Trossard, like I said, I get where you're coming from with the down. I guess,
Grasping at straws.
yeah, I'm
The more
doing
the
the
more I
same
hear you
thing.
talking, I'm like, yeah, no, you're 100% right.
Yeah,
Like,
I'm
he
doing the
could have been
same
an up.
thing.
Yeah.
So, all right, have we've each done our two downs, two of our three
I have
downs.
one up and I have one down left.
I have one up and I have one down left. So I guess go ahead and finish with your down, and then I'll finish with my up. We'll end on a positive note.
Well, I hope. Well, I'm gonna wait till I hear up. My last down is again. I don't think he played a bad game, but well, it's Kai Havertz. I've been a supporter of his. I've been kind of backing him when people haven't. Shout out Connor, fuck you. But yeah, I don't think he played bad. I think it was more of just again, it's the same as almost kind of the Odegaard, where I didn't write any notes about him, didn't notice him, and his position is under fire. You have players on this bench. You have players that a lot of these fans are calling for to play they're playing the Kai Havertz. They're playing the left 8. ESR, Vieira, even Trossard. People saying Trossard could play a left 8 maybe. I've heard even crazier things like Saka playing left 8 for us. The left 8 is, if you had to pick one position on the pitch that's not nailed down to one player, I think it's easily our left 8. But yeah, I don't really think he played particularly poorly. I think it was more of just, people were clamoring for ESR. We got ESR in the 68th minute. I talked about it yesterday. Some people on Twitter said he was horrible and laughing at people that were backing him. Other people thinks, he needs to be in the next 11. Yeah, you did freeze down, but you can just restart. I can just wax lyrical about not really Kai, but more wax lyrical about ESR. But yeah, I think the left 8 position is just such an interesting position. I think, honestly, I think this season you could have a show dedicated to that, because you really don't have one. And can ESR do it? Can Vieira do it? I don't know. I don't know really how we want to go about the left 8 going forward. And kind of to loop in kind of 3-point sniper has been saying about Zinchenko, he's not my third up. I wrote my 3 ups, and then I was like, oh fuck, Zinchenko was crazy good. He was so good. And back to what you were saying, he does play. He plays a lot better against the bottom half of the table. But his passing, his accuracy was just on point. His dribble, he dribbled a few times. He had a couple shots on net, or one shot on net, but pretty good for a left back. And did Crystal Palace kind of let Zinchenko have a good game? I do. I think the way they set up against us, in playing 3 center backs and playing kind of 5 at the back, 3 at the back, 5 at the back, I think was an interesting move by Palace. And I don't think that was smart, because teams that can beat us, they beat us if they play very compact and play a low block, or they push us out wide. I mean, I guess 2 things can be true. They could do both of these things, but they also, teams push us out wide, let Martinelli and Saka get the ball on the like that way. I did it wrong again. Yeah, there we go. They let us have the ball wide on the touchline, and then they foul us and mosquito bite us on the touchline, and pray the refs not call anything. But yeah, they played a back 3. Their center backs were very spaced out, and I think we were able to kind of get in there with our movements, our passing, and that started with Zinchenko. I thought he was very good, and I think he stole the thunder from Kai a little bit, and I think that Kai kind of suffered, and that's why he's also a big reason why he's one of my downs. So I should have probably just had Zinchenko as my third up, but no, I don't have him.
I pretty much know what you said about Kai. He's also my third down. So I don't know how I thought I thought I had all 3. Anyway, yes, I didn't. Yeah, Kai was my third down. So my third up is a guy that really, I think, needed to see the ball go in the back of the net, and that is Gabriel Martinelli. And just doing Gabriel Martinelli things, running at defenders, obviously gets the 2 goals at the end of the game. And I'm not saying that it was all down to him and him creating them on his own, but that's what he excels at. He excels at running with the ball at his feet, taking on defenders 1v1, blowing past them, and then moving it on goal. And the second, a very Thierry Henry-esque finish. But I got to give Gabriel Martinelli his flowers, as you said earlier about someone else. But it's good to see him getting 2 goals, leading goal scorer last year, seeing the ball go in the net. Hopefully that gives him some confidence now going forward, and we're going to start to see the floodgates open for him a bit. That's going to be a big factor in our success going forward, is getting him on track in scoring goals for sure.
No, I agree. And when you ask the average fan, what's your starting 11? Martinelli is going to be in most of those starting 11s, 100%. But I like him off the bench. I think he's better suited off the bench. He stretches teams wide. He runs at them. He's faster than them. He rips fullbacks apart, and it's easy to rip a fullback apart when they've already have 50 to 60 minutes in their legs of constantly getting attacked at by Arsenal Football Club. But yeah, he definitely needed a goal. He got his goal. He got two, and he again offers us a kind of another way out. He offers us a way to kind of play that counter-attacking football that you like a lot. I mean, I like it too. It's definitely exciting, getting the ball into our attacking third when the other team just had a corner or they're threatening to score themselves. But yeah, Martinelli's speed is unmatched, and it's definitely it sucks because I like when he starts for us, but I think he's most deadly when he's coming off the bench or in the last like 10, 20 minutes of the game.
Well, when he comes in like that and he's got fresh legs, and like you just said, you're running at a fullback that just put 50 or 60 minutes onto his own legs, and now you're asking him to keep up with the fastest player on our team. It's kind of a no-brainer. You kind of wish he'd leave a little bit in the tank when he starts, and I do think that he's the best option for us to start out wide on the left-hand side.
Mm-hmm.
It's a bit of a catch-22 because I want him to start because I think he's the best option. But boy, what he can bring off the bench, man. You bring him in at 60 minutes, 65 minutes, and he just runs at you like that. Boy, oh boy. I tell you what, there's an opportunity. You talk about goal differential at the end of the season. There's an opportunity to pad some stats if you want to give Trossard a start out wide on the left against, say, Burnley or Sheffield United, and bring him on in the later stages, again, that 60 to 70 minute mark, and say, look, go get a goal. Just go get a goal and help us pad the goal differential stat, for tiebreaker purposes, and let's see what happens. I want to see that not head down running with him, because when he runs with his head down, he's not obviously not looking around, and he as I said last week, he dribbles himself into trouble. But I kind of want to see that at the beginning of a match and see what he can do. Granted, fullback not as tired as they will be at the hour mark. But I think Martinelli does have it in him to just get past the defender early in a game, even when he's got it, even when the defender has his legs under him. So bit of a catch-22, as I said. You want him out there at the beginning because he is one of your best 11. But he does bring that change of pace off the bench, and especially if you're going up against a team that needs points. And we go up against, Forest on Tuesday. They need points. You kind of think there may be an opportunity there. I'm not so sure that I would be quick on the trigger to give him a start against Forest. I may do the same thing. I may give Trossard the start and bring Martinelli off the bench again around 65 minutes. So, I missed apparently your third up. I have Jesus.
Yeah, I didn't say yet.
Okay, I'm just because I'm like, wait, we're almost done with this, but I'm like, wait a minute, I don't know who the third up is.
So my third up and my man of the match is Benjamin, Mr. Tanning Bed White.
I knew that was coming.
Yeah, I mean, I said yesterday. It's usually a defender 9 times out of 10, but when a player is great defensively but also great in the attacking third, very hard for me not to give them man of the match. His passing was great. His overlapping with Saka was better than it's been. And defensively, he was really good on the one-on-ones, which is something that this season I haven't really seen it from him. I don't think he's been that great. He's another player. He's been struggling for us. Hasn't, he's been looking not like himself. People are saying he's been hurt. It looks like it for sure. But he was great. He was immense for us. Just, an all-around good performance, or all-around great performance from Ben White.
Ben White always seems to be one of those guys that people just. He always seems to be one of the first that people want to dump on when we collectively have a bad game. I don't know why, man. That dude just does his job. And that's
weird. I haven't noticed that. I have to look at that.
Yeah, I get a lot of people that are like, "Oh,
I
Ben
still
White,
want to
like,
dump on Granit Xhaka, even though he's on the team anymore. But
I mean, I just you don't ever want to talk about him, yet you're the only guy that ever seems to mention him.
I don't mind talking about him now. He's on the team anymore.
He hasn't lost a game for Leverkusen that he started, by the way.
I know they're good. Well, yeah, it's the Bundesliga, but I've watched them play. They're good. I mean, also too, Xabi Alonso. He's a really, really good manager. That's for sure.
Yeah, the Ben White thing, man. I don't disagree with you at all. I obviously didn't have him in my. I didn't really think much of Ben White, but I will say this about Ben White. I'm never worried watching Ben White play.
Yep.
And part of that is I don't really think that he ever puts a foot wrong. He has. I've seen him make some mistakes. But very few and far between. And I'll give Saliba some credit for this, because if Ben White does put a foot wrong, or if he does get beat, he's in a position where he's almost sort of set himself up or set us up to not concede, because when he puts the foot wrong, if he does, or if he gets beat, he's getting beat right into William Saliba. So it's like, not that he wants to get beat, but he can afford to, because he knows he has Saliba. Cover. He has cover. Saliba's right there, and it's almost like he knows what he's doing. Like, I can afford to do this because I know I have cover right there, and I've put the attacking player in a position where, what else are you going to do? You get by me, great. Thanks, 3-point sniper. Appreciate you being here, man. Yeah, Ben White is a guy that everybody, 50 million pounds, blah, blah, blah. 50 million, very well spent, in my opinion. Benny Blanco is one of my favorite players on this team. And people will notice a trend with me when it comes to favorite players, that it's just guys that do their job, that are unheralded, that everybody seems to dump on if we, collectively have a bad game. Those seem to be my favorite players, because just almost seems like when we have a good game, not many people talk about them. Like, you're quick to make them the scapegoat, but you don't ever want to give them their plaudits when they have a good game. So, but Ben White, I knew that was coming because we talked about it the other night.
I also think too, something that I personally don't think gets talked enough about is, his shithousery, his personality, which is funny, because I was watching you on So's podcast, which everyone should check out. It was good. It was a good show. You were like, listen, I think you're gonna get a flag, but you talking about Aaron Ramsdale?
Aaron Ramsdale.
Just say, he's got a very vibrant personality. But no, but we don't care about flags here. Ben White is our shithouser. He's our guy that stirs trouble up. He's our guy that's gonna talk shit, and he's gonna be an asshole. Whether it's with his mouth or with our first goal. Is it a first goal or second goal where he just completely boxes out Dean Henderson, and Dean Henderson's nothing? To be fair,
I think it was the first one.
Yeah,
Dean
Henderson does one of
those. It was one of the two headers.
Yeah, Dean Henderson is nothing to get around him, which
right.
And he's been that mosquito for us on corner kicks. That's his job. And if the ref's not going to call it, then it is what it is. But yeah, I don't think he gets enough credit for that, because he's that guy that's going to really mess with the position, the players' heads, yeah, I like that. We need that. We need that little bit of grit on this team that's willing to kind of get inside the team's heads, whether it's with his mouth or just simply boxing out the goalie and just being a mosquito on set pieces. It's very big for us.
Yeah, you hit Ben White, your player of the match. It's interesting that he's player of the match for you. And I like it because it's under the radar. I like the under the radar pick, because my player of the match, as I said earlier, he was my first up, is not under the radar at all. With what should have been 2 goals, you only got credit for 1. But Gabriel, again, to reiterate, my player of the match, and if you're going to get as I said earlier, if you're going to get a goal from him, it's just that's icing on the cake, man. That's that's a daily double, in my opinion. I don't know that we need to spend much more time on player of the match. I do want to talk a little bit about Arteta, just what you thought of the starting 11. Were, any questions in there? Were you kind of scratching your head at anything? Substitutes, because we've always said that his substitutions, be it the personnel and the timing, he doesn't ever, we don't think he ever gets it right, at least for us. So I'm kind of curious. I guess Martinelli wasn't fully fit, which is why Trossard started. But beyond that, that was really the only question mark I had. But then the question gets answered, and certainly not upset about it. Overall, it was a great effort from everybody, really. I thought on Saturday. So the 11, I think he got it spot on. I don't know that there's anybody that I would have changed. I would have put ESR in there over Kai Havertz. I want to see if we get more from ESR over Kai Havertz. And we're never going to know. And I don't care what Arteta says to you about training or anything else. The thing for me is you can't imitate game speed in training. So how do we know? How does he know if we can get more with ESR than we do with Havertz if he doesn't ever get a start, if he doesn't ever get 60 full minutes? And ESR came on for Havertz at 70 minutes and he got 20. And I thought ESR looked good, not great. But again, you're only getting 20 minutes. So what effect can you really have on a game, in 20 minutes, unless of course you're Gabriel Martinelli and you score 2 goals. But I digress. That would be the only thing that at some point soon, I want to see change. I want to see something different, because I want to know what we've got. ESR is not going to be a player for this club that is going to be satisfied coming off the bench for 15, 20 minutes every game, or not even every game. That's going to be his appearance if and when he's chosen as a substitute. I want to see what he has. And if for no other reason, then if there's an opportunity to cash in because Arteta's not going to play him, you got to play him to boost his value. So play him, get him out there. And I've seen enough of Kai Havertz to know that he's not comfortable in this role in the left 8. I don't know that continuing to pound the round peg into the square hole is going to work. So I want to see something a little different. I want to see a bit of rotation now from Mikel Arteta. But as far as Crystal Palace goes, overall satisfied with the 11. What say you?
Yeah, no, could not agree more. I think the ESR thing it's interesting because he's a homegrown player, and we're all going to root for the academy players. It's just how it's going to be. And he
Especially
saved us.
you and me.
Yeah, he saved Arteta's job. Playing him against Chelsea on Boxing Day in that crucial game that we needed to win, and he was the reason we won. And it's just interesting because he's been battling through injuries, he's been battling through all these things, and just when I feel like, I don't want to say the fan base is giving up on him, but just when the fan base is kind of being like, yeah, I think it's time we might need to sell him, we got to start maybe fielding offers. Arteta's been coming out and just saying how his attitude, the way he's been training is immense. He's doing everything right. So why isn't he playing? Why? Like you're bigging him up a lot. Like, I want to see more minutes, and I would obviously love to see him start, but I just come on a little earlier, maybe make a case. And the funny part is, at least for me, is I think he's the exact opposite of Kai Havertz. I actually don't think Kai Havertz is playing bad as a left 8. I mean, I've been defending him. I think defensively in that left 8 position, I think he's doing a lot better than people are giving him credit for. He's just not scoring as much, which, again, new system, new role. It's tough. He's not going to be the goal scorer he was at Chelsea. He's not going to be the goal scorer he was at Leverkusen. But or he could be, but it's not now, not this season even. But Kai Havertz doesn't like to operate in small spaces. He wants the space to do what he wants, and ESR can. ESR likes to operate in those small spaces. He likes to do the give and go, the 1-2, the quick little tippy tap pass go. And that's kind of, I think, that's what I want in the left 8 role, at least attacking wise. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. I do think this, for now, it's Kai Havertz's position. I'm not upset that he starts, but I do want to see. I want to see ESR come on as regularly as Eddie Nketiah. I think I want him to, for right now, I want him to be the Eddie Nketiah of the team. And the fact that no matter what, whether we're up 3-0, we're down 2-0, it doesn't matter. Eddie Nketiah is always coming on. He's just always coming on.
Yeah.
And now is that a position of, he loves Eddie Nketiah and he really wants him to play because he rates him? Maybe he has talked with that, or is maybe he's heavily window shopping Eddie because he's like, you know what, I want to get a forward in that's better than Jesus, let alone Eddie Nketiah. Like let's kind of just see, let's kind of bring him in, have him on chopping out, and see if teams can bite and come on in and give an offer. So I really want that for ESR. That's for sure. I think that's something that obviously we want to see. We want to see the value, whether it's a value in selling or a value in, can this guy be a Trossard, be an Eddie Nketiah, and 100% coming off the bench no matter what the score is, because that's what I think in the long run you need with a lot of these players. Like, obviously, if you're bringing on a defender for an attacker, you're not going to do that no matter what the score is. But a lot of these players, your Vieiras, your Reece Nelsons, your ESRs, you want them to come on no matter what. They're in that spot where they're good. They should be good enough to where 3-0, 2-0, whether you're winning or losing, you want them. They need to be coming on and getting minutes. They need to be. You need to be kind of interchanging the squad. I think that's something that definitely is capable for Arteta, because he does it. Like I said, he does it with Eddie Nketiah so much. Eddie's always seeing the pitch when 9 times out of 10. I don't want to say 9 out of 10, but more times than not, I don't. There's no need for him to come on. There's just no need to bring Eddie Nketiah on, but we do anyway. And I'm just like, but why? I really don't want to see Eddie, but yeah, I mean, his 11 was good. There's really nothing you could do. I mean, you could say ESR thing, but I don't think ESR is ready to start on 11 right as of yet. I don't put it this way, with both systems at play, I don't know if I really see ESR in this 11 just yet. Anyway, I hope I get proved wrong, because obviously I love the player, and I hope he could definitely find his way into the team.
I just think, I mean, we talk about versatility of players all the time on this channel, and I got to tell you, I think he might be the most versatile player on this roster. I mean,
really?
I mean, I think a lot of the guys, especially across the front, can play just about anywhere. But I think ESR legitimately has 5 positions that he could play. And I mean, I think he could play all 5 of them equally well. I think he would excel at 1 or 2 as opposed to all 5, but I think he can play 5. I think he could play 5 different positions and play them rather well. And I think, I mean, I look at Bukayo Saka and you say, okay, well, he can play fullback. He can play winger. He can probably play in the 8 or the 10. But I don't really see him operating that way. And I don't know that he has the vision to play in that 8 or 10 role. Trossard is probably the guy with the next most versatility, and then I would say Gabriel Jesus. But I just, man, I look at ESR and I just think I could play him on either wing. I could play him as a false 9, although granted we saw it didn't work, but I don't think that's down to him being a false 9. I think he could play a true 9. That would probably be the one position that I wouldn't want to see him play, but I think he could do it. And I think he could play the 8 or the 10. Honestly, I think that 8 could really be. Honestly, I think that could be his best position. I mean, I look at the 10, and if I had to draw a comparison of a player that would say that's the guy that we're sort of trying to strive to be, this is going to go over like a lead balloon. I want you to think of, at his very best, Aaron Ramsey, a guy that can chip in goals, can chip in assists, can track back and play defense. That's what he's a box to box midfielder is what the 8 role is supposed to be, at least in my opinion, from what I've seen in this system. Arteta wants the left 8 to be a traditional box to box midfielder, maybe with a little sprinkle of fairy dust mixed in here and there, but chip in some goals, drag defenders away from the ball, chip in some assists, track back and play defensively, be defensively sound, try to win the ball back. It's to me, it's Aaron Ramsey. It's just what it seems to be, in my opinion, anyway. I don't know. Argue with me if you think I'm wrong.
The only thing I disagreed with you with is I don't think I think ESR and Trossard are the same player. It's similar. I should say similar players. I don't think he operates well at wide. I don't really want to see him in the wing for us. I think it's Odegaard's position or the left 8.
Interesting.
And I just think he doesn't spread the field. I think he's almost Trossard's copy, except I think Trossard is a little more of a creator than a goal scorer, which is I think ESR is a little more of a goal scorer than a creator. And I think ESR is a great connector. And I think that to me, again, going back to what I've said about almost every player today, is I think to be an Arteta player, the first, like if you had to take an introductory class to Arteta ball, I think the first thing he's going to teach you is just like the definition of the word connect and connecting and connection and connected and just go through every formation of the word connect. And I think that is just vital to this
Connect
system.
4.
Yeah, Connect 4. And I think ESR is a great connector. I just want to see him kind of connecting with the players that are constantly in this 11 a lot more. And I want to see him kind of getting more game time. Because it's hard to connect with, like you said, it's hard, you can't emulate game speed in training sessions. So it's hard to like connect in a training session. But yeah, I know BX Gunner made a comment about he thinks ESR is more an Odegaard position. Odegaard position is the left 8. It's just on the Odegaard and ESR essentially would be left 8, left right. Or left right, right 8. Excuse me. Odegaard plays more of a right 8 than a 10, I think, in my opinion, and I think ESR would do the same thing except on the left side of the pitch. And because we force, and I think going back to why I gave Odegaard down, we didn't see much of Odegaard because we didn't really play on the right side of the field. We played on the left, played on the left side of the pitch most of the game, and that's why we graded Zinchenko so highly, and that's why we really kind of didn't see much of Odegaard. I think ESR would be great in that left 8. I think he, again, like you said, the Aaron Ramsey thing, arriving late and getting that last touch on goal. I don't know about Aaron Ramsey tracking back and playing defense. That wasn't really his style.
No,
we didn't have this Arteta system either. I personally, I think if Ramsey was healthy and in this system, I think within a year or two of heavy Mikel Arteta coaching, I think he would have been so
get
good.
out of my head.
I think
get out of my head. Stop it.
Arteta would have unlocked something in Aaron Ramsey, and I was not
Aaron
the biggest
Ramsey
Aaron Ramsey
is
fan. I used to
one of my
scream, and
favorite-
I said this. I used to scream more about Aaron Ramsey than I did about Granit Xhaka while watching the game. I couldn't stand watching Aaron Ramsey play. Constantly out of position, always ahead of Giroud. But I think like with the coaching and system, I think he could have been great for Arteta. But I mean, I don't really care. I care about ESR, and I think ESR is the closest thing to Aaron Ramsey that we got. And I think ESR can track back, and I think ESR can play better defensively than Aaron Ramsey could. So I would really like to see Arteta really get in there and see what ESR could do with more minutes in his legs.
Yeah, it's the thing that we keep crying out for with with other players. Reece Nelson, Fabio Vieira, like they're here. I just feel we need to play them, and it just doesn't seem like he wants to. It goes back to him not trusting. That's the only thing I can come up with, is that it's just he doesn't trust. He just doesn't trust some of these guys, and I I don't know. It drives me nuts. The ESR thing, like I said, it can't be a matter of, well, he's going to be a super sub, or because he is not, meaning ESR is not, he's not going to be satisfied with that. And we can say,
I mean,
well,
if we keep
it's
winning,
not.
I mean, he could. It could be a thing. I mean, if he's first to the bench every game and we're winning and winning trophies, maybe he is. And again, to be fair, like Trossard is one of the older players in the team. Just ESR could still potentially be here when Trossard retires. So maybe ESR does take that spot. Maybe, we're going to be moving players on. And like we go to this thing, and I agree with you. I think Arteta needs to trust more players, but you have to say it is very tough to squeeze in every game. People want to see Vieira, they want to see ESR, they want to see Nelson. That's 3 players. So 3 out of your 5 subs are going to be Vieira, Nelson, ESR. It's just not going to happen, because you need to save a sub just in case of a crazy injury.
Right.
You need at least one, probably I would even argue 2 subs for game state changes, where you go up 2-0, you want to maybe bring on a defender, defensive midfielder, shut it down. Or if you go down 1-0, 2-0, you bring on Eddie and you leave Gabriel Jesus on.
I mean, every
so
game
it is tough. I will give Arteta that. It is tough to bring all these players on that people are aching to see. You can.
I don't necessarily want to say it's a bit of a double-edged sword. On the one hand, you say, hey, you're up 3-0 and you're bringing on ESR. Well, yeah, I want to see ESR, but at the same time, what is ESR? What's his impact going to be in a 3-0 game that we're winning, right? And at the 70th minute, what are we chasing now? Now we just want to shut it down. At 3-0 at 70 minutes, shut it down, right? Like we're not taking chances. But you're 2-0 down, or we're 3-0 up. I keep saying down. We're 3-0 up at 70 minutes. ESR, like you're not looking for much from him. You're looking for responsible football, right? Be responsible in attack. Don't do something stupid, but also, be responsible defensively, press the ball, don't get caught out of position, things like that. But we're 2-0 down and we make a substitution like that. Yeah, okay, now he's got to make his impact. So that's why I say I would like to see the start, because at the start of the game, both teams are chasing. Both teams are chasing that first goal. Both teams are chasing the win and the 3 points. That's what I want to see from him. As a sub, the game, I obviously, unless it's, it's a 1 goal difference either way, or it's level, okay, that's a different story. But at the beginning of the game, you know where you're at. You know what the game state is at the opening kick. And let's go get it. Let's see what he's got. And I want to see that. And as you said it, for value, whether it be value to us on the pitch or value to us in a sale, I really will be upset if I end up seeing the best of Emile Smith Rowe wearing someone else's shirt. And I don't know who that someone else could possibly be. I just don't want to see him in another shirt. You have made him one of my favorite players on this team. So, but
it's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, you started off by putting me under a lot of pressure. So I don't know what you want me to tell you. Yeah, we're right up on an hour here. It's about dinner time on the East Coast. I'd say that's a good return for the ratings show. I liked it. Good talk, good breakdown of individual players. And, we didn't cover everyone, but I don't think we needed to cover everyone. So, I don't know. You got a final thought?
No, not really. Doing this podcast, especially this particular one, and breaking down the subs, it's hard. And I didn't even mention the fact that, managers have to tweak what they're doing in their system to fit the game state but then the other manager has to respond to it. So like, yeah, we talk about, oh, you need 2 subs to, tweak the game state, whether you're up 2-0, down 2-0. Well, as a manager, you almost need to counter that because, a manager that comes to mind is Klopp. Klopp has done it to us at least two or three times I can remember since Arteta's been manager, that when he sees something that doesn't work, he changes it on us, and it's always worked out for him. Klopp, I think, is this ain't no secret. I wanted Wenger out a couple years earlier than when he left, and I wanted Klopp so bad from Dortmund. I think he would have been really good for us. Not to say Arteta's not good for us; he's great, but I like Klopp, and I like a manager that's willing to make a sub and tweak the system, even if the game state is still, 0-0 or even 1-1 for that matter. But we need to be able to counter it, and I don't know if Arteta is there yet. I don't know if he is someone that really does that too much. He kind of is more worried about how his team's playing instead of like, okay, how can we stop them? But yeah, I think subbing is something that everyone's like, oh, we have 5 subs now. So like Vieira needs to play, Reece Nelson needs to play, Saka needs to play. Oh yeah, Rule Walters, he needs to play. Ethan Manieri, oh yeah, he was the youngest player to come on the pitch for us. How come he's not getting minutes? What is he? You got to be like 19 now. He's 16 now, 16, 17. I think he's 16, and Rule Walters is 17. I don't know, but it's tough, and hopefully we could, just keep this 5-0 momentum up and keep building, and hopefully we do see some of these players, but you're not going to see them every game. It's not possible.
Yeah, I think that's a good spot to end on. We'll look at schedules. We'll try to get back to this one again next week. Hopefully we can work it out. Play Tuesday next week. So probably Wednesday, Thursday again next week if we can make it happen. We'll talk. Stay tuned. Make sure you click the little bell icon on the channel so that you never miss a show. You always get the reminders. Also, leave us a thumbs up if you enjoyed the content, which hopefully you did, and make sure you are subscribed to the channel. If you are not already, tell a friend, tell a family member, tell a coworker, somebody that can subscribe to the channel and get us to 1,000 subscribers. We greatly appreciate everybody watching. Bronx Gunner was in the chat. 3-point sniper. Thank you, guys. They're really the only two that kind of interacted. But to everybody watching, thank you for catching it on replay. Thank you very much, guys. We appreciate it. We'll be back with another show next week. We'll recap Arsenal and Nottingham Forest. So, as always, been good footy talk. We'll see you out there.